Wow, man, I gotta tell you guys, we had one hell of a storm last night. That was pretty incredible. I was sitting up here, I knew it was coming, and I was watching this. This storm stretches all the way from Canada, this front with these storms, all the way from Canada down to the southern point of Texas and beyond. Well, I saw it just in time. I just happened to go to weather.com and look up the data, and they were warning about it, and I saw it. I was like, holy crap. So went out there and I got my portable water can, filled it up so we had water, because one of the things out here in the country where we are, we have an airlift well, and anybody out in the country, when you're not on city water, you got to pump your own water. So I knew if the power went, the water would go too. So I got the battery topped, got the solar going. I was running on solar all night. I was running on the battery reserves, and it was weird. Before I switched over to the solar, even I think it was like an hour out before this thing got here, you could tell the grid was getting popped because the lights were flickering and they were going down and they were coming up and they were flashing. So it's amazing how far away that disruption, that thing had to have been maybe 20 something miles away at that particular time. But the disruption it was causing way out there was actually reverberating and rippling down the lines, So here, the power was very unstable. So before the power went out, I went ahead and I flipped on the inverter and switched us out from grid to solar because it was getting bad. Oh, my battery's low on that. It's telling me something. Let's see what we got here. It just went wow wow. So it wants me to hook up a charger. So yeah, Android devices. I'd be recording on that if it wasn't for the fact that the mic is total crap on it. But anyway, so that came down, and it was weird. Before it got here, man, it got so quiet. There were no mosquitoes, there's no bugs, the crickets all stopped, and everything in the air got moist and heavy. But there was like nothing. It was unbelievably quiet. So I just used the time. The lights were flickering everything, so I went ahead and after the batteries were topped, I flipped us onto solar and ran us through the night, through the storm on solar backup, and got that water topped off, got all the containers. I have a drinking cooler here. It's like a 2-gallon cooler, one of those ones with the thing that you flip up that you can drink out of. I got that loaded up, and I got that 5-gallon tote. I have one of those old Coleman totes with the spout that you turn on it, This is a 5-gallon. I loaded it up and got it set up in the bathroom, and I filled that bathtub full of water so we had water to flush the toilet with, and got all the hatches battened down. And we just sat that thing out. That was an incredible storm. It rained sideways at times, man. It was crazy. There was so much wind because what happened, it was weird. It got real quiet. And then way off in the horizon, all the lights were down because she was asleep and I was in here just watching to make sure nothing got ruined. You got to stay awake during big storms because you might have to run and fix something. So I'm sitting in this room. And what is that? So I'm sitting in this room, and there's a window way over there, a little crack through it. I have curtains drawn because I don't want people around here to see the stuff I have in this room. Yeah, it's that way even out in the country. You never know. But anyway. And I start seeing little dim flashes, just little dim flashes coming through there. So I knew it was coming. It was still so far away, though. You couldn't hear the thunder, but everything got unbelievably still. The wind completely stopped, and then it was like somebody and you could hear it coming over the trees when it got here. You hear this. And then, whoom, man, it came over the top, and the rain started and everything. It was rain and wind, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. How we didn't get a line down or a tree down on the line, I'll never know. I know the part of the house that's still on grid, the part that stays on grid, the lights in there, they were going nuts. So I know there was stuff touching wires here and there, out there. But that was crazy. That was crazy. I gotta actually go check the tarps on the shed because I haven't finished the roof yet and make sure the wind didn't tear them off. If it did, then I got a lot of wet stuff out there. But that was insane. That was insane. But I just sat here. I had my hatches battened down, and I sat in this easy chair. And oh, let me show you something. A friend of mine got me this. I'll see if I can straighten it out. This is the coolest shirt. There you go. That's the best thing right now, man. I get a laugh from that because people recognize it, you know. But anyway, so that all came through. Oh man. And it passed, and the night was quiet again. But now it's a little cooler. I'm running air right now because I'm pulling the humidity down in the house. It's not really hot, but it's moist. So, after a big storm or just before, it gets that way. And so we're doing bilge pump operations with the air conditioners. But anyway, so that's all passed. Solar panels are charging the batteries up. I'm glad I had that. Had all the computers pulled. Had all the electronics pulled. Just insane. Just insane. I haven't seen a storm like that in quite some time. And for a thunderstorm, that was pretty crazy. For a cold front coming in. It was a strong front to make a storm like that. They're saying tonight we're going to have temperatures in the 50s, which I don't mind. I love the cold. It'll be nice compared to what we've had. So, maybe get a little thin blanket or something to throw on the bed. Just be happy campers. Nature's providing the air conditioning tonight. But that was interesting. It was very interesting. Vaguely reminiscent of when a hurricane comes in. If you've ever been in a place where a hurricane makes landfall, you get a lot of wind and stuff, but in the beginning it doesn't look like anything major, but it very quickly escalates, So, it didn't escalate. It got pretty windy and pretty rainy. It was crazy, as far as a thunderstorm goes. Lots of lightning. I've never seen so much lightning. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't news reports circulating right now of tornado damage with that thing all across the U.S. Because I looked at it on the Weather Channel, and there was warning boxes all the way from Canada all the way down to the top of Texas. Or not warning boxes, but watch boxes. So if any of y'all out there experienced this last night, let me know, man. Comment down there. Let me know what happened and how it was. I'm imagining some people didn't get much at all, but I can tell by the size of this thing on the map, there's people right now going through hell. I mean, it is a dark, dark red line with high winds and everything else moving across the country at about 20 miles an hour. So, pretty crazy. So, anyway, I'm going to get online and let my friend over at the Do-It-Yourself World know he's fixing to have some crazy weather to get his equipment down if he's got anything freestanding, because this thing will definitely take down stuff. I've got stuff knocked down in the yard I've got to go pick up, and I'm glad I didn't have anything up that was delicate out there. Check the solar panels, that came through it okay, but there was a lot of debris thrown around. You could hear stuff hitting the side of the house. So, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I love a good storm. It's been a long, long time since we've had an awesome storm like that. That's pretty crazy. So, there's some people, those kind of things scare them, but I love them. I love them. Man, I'll tell you a little story. when I lived out in Huntsville, I lived out on an open plain. I was under the one tree or the one group of trees for like probably a good quarter to a half a mile out there, because my grandfather had this piece of property. He had this little postage stamp out there that was like an acre. And this is back when I had just moved out and I needed a place before I got moving good. So I had this little 24-foot camper, and I was up under that tree. And those fronts, because the way that area was situated, it was all cow pasture as far as the eye could see. So when a front would come through, it was crazy, man. Now here's what happens, man. When you're out there and those cold fronts come through, the air will be blowing. Let's say it's a front coming out of the north. You're fixing to have a cold front. You know, it'll be blowing out of the south because there's a suction. So you got this southerly air rushing to meet the cold front. So it's blowing right. And you'll be sitting out there, and all of a sudden the wind will get quiet. Just as the front gets to where you are, it'll all slow down, and it'll stop, and everything will get dead calm. And I swear to you, you'll be sitting out there, and you can hear it coming, man. You'll listen off to the north, and you'll hear that. And then, yeah, it comes right across the top of you. And it's like a wall, and it's cold air or cool air, man. It feels so good. It's like somebody says, reverse engines. And that cold air comes rushing over the top, man, and the trees. Well, we'd have those big storms sometimes on the edge of those fronts, and I'd get up in that camper, man, and that wind would be blowing so hard that camper would be shaking, even though it was on jacks and stuff. And you'd hear things, because the wind has a way of getting under stuff, so you'd hear like the siding and stuff going, whoa, whoa, you know, things vibrating. But it was fun. And he's sitting there riding that crazy storm out in that little camper, and yeah! Oh man, I love a good storm. I used to stand out there on that field when the really big ones were coming, and I'd watch the lightning. And when I was in Florida, when I lived in Florida, we lived out where they mow the land and build houses, build tract houses, you know. And back when we lived there, they hadn't built all the neighborhoods. There were like places where they had cleared the land in the back of our neighborhood that went as far as the eye could see, kind of like Lehigh Acres. And the thunderstorms in the afternoons down in Florida, sometimes they get pretty violent. You know, down there around South Florida, we lived around West Palm and Deerfield and Pompano and places like that. And it was crazy to watch the lightning off in the distance. Me and my friends, we had those little BMX bikes that everybody gets when they're kids and whatnot. We'd ride down to the edge of the neighborhood, and there was a little piece of blacktop off the back road with a storm drain in the middle of it. We'd ride up there and we'd park, and we'd sit around, we'd eat chips or something, and we'd watch these storms come in. And sometimes when these storms would come through in the afternoon, the sky would turn this really, I don't know how to put it, it was like a yellow gold color, and everything had this yellow gold color that the light fell on. It was the most beautiful thing. I see it occasionally here in Texas after a big storm, sometimes before. It's not like the straw color of the sun. It's like everything is being pumped through a yellow or amber filter. Everything becomes shades of that color. And it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. The contrast on everything gets unbelievably sharp. You know, there's no lens or filter that anybody could put on a camera or on a pair of sunglasses that could do what that did. It was a trick of the light I've only seen a few times. But I loved storms, and I still love storms. So this storm, I feel especially privileged to sit through these like this. You know, to see them as they come by. That's a sample of nature's power. You know, man can do some pretty impressive things, but nature can surpass man in almost every aspect. you know, when it comes to the unleashing of awesome power, nature's got it. You know, we've got a nuke, but even a nuke, you know, a nuke, one hurricane is equivalent to hundreds, if not 1,000 Hiroshima bombs. The amount of power stored in a hurricane when it comes ashore and does its damage, you know, there's nothing we have that can equal that amount of power output. There's the raw energy that is nature. But anyway, that's what happened. And I thought I would just upload this. I'm gonna burn some of my bandwidth cap and get this thing up because hell, they're gonna give me another 10 gigs in about a day. So what do I care? So anyway, crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Liked it a lot. So if you guys are going through this right now, let me know what's going on. I gotta go and let my friend know what's coming so he can get his place ready. Take care.